Oh, I should look at the camera after I hit the button to start. Well, hi there, I'm Ron Juckett, and it's Sunday. And today I'm joined by Dave Gardner, and hopefully our Red Sox fan will remember that this was the time that he actually asked for, because, it's Al, and he should be here at some point. And today, how you doing, Dave, now that you've popped on camera?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I got my big coffee today. Sunday's my one day off, if you remember from our chat weeks ago.
Yep.
And I had a big day yesterday. Actually, played some hockey yesterday. Usually I just referee, but I get in a game, and boy, I felt like I was 49 again, Ron. I scored a goal and got 4 assists. I had a 5-point day. And yeah, I was pretty excited about that. Like, the old guy still got a little game in him. So I had a lot of fun yesterday. And then I even refereed 2 games. So I skated 3 hours yesterday, and I'm here to tell the tale. So I guess that's a good day.
Got it.
Yeah, it's a good day.
That's awesome. So today we're going to talk a bit about, if the last few Sundays I've gone through all but the basketball game for Action PC Sports. We haven't talked about the golf. The golf game is about to come out, I think, you just bought it. When is it? When's the sale date on that one?
The golf game comes out on the 12th.
All right. So actually on Friday, Thursday or Friday.
Friday, I think it's Friday, yeah. So yeah, I went, and as I told you on chat last night, I went a little crazy over at the place there at Dave Koch. They with the playoffs here, they dropped all the hockey seasons on sale, even the hockey game, which I already have. So I was like, I picked up the golf game, a couple of courses, some of the best players. And then while there, I mean, you spend $100, you get 20% off. So I was so close to that. It's like, you just, let me just get the seasons that I want. Well, of course, I basically now have, from when Bobby Orr joined the league all the way up through the Bruins Cup of 2010-11 now for season. So I am well covered with everything I want to play. Anything after that, I really don't follow as much. And, we'll talk a little bit about that today when we get into the sim games. But yeah, I mean, they're all on sale. I mean, I sat there, seriously, I got my little notes here. Let me show you my notes. So these are the notes, right? And I'm sitting here taking my notes about pricing and structures and the whole bit. And it just made more sense to go with a decade than it was to buy individual seasons,
Oh, absolutely. And we now are joined by Al, Red Sox fan.
All right.
Hello, Uncle Ron and Dave Gardner.
Hi, Al.
How are you?
I'm doing just fine. We just started.
Yeah, sorry, I was a little late.
That's all right. That's all right. So go ahead, Dave, and finish your point about buying, but what you did, and then we'll go into
so
how I got the games and stuff.
I did go crazy. When I go to his site, I tend to buy in bulk and catch the sale. So I got the golf game, the new one that's going to come out on Friday, a couple of courses and things like that. And then I doubled down. I went with all the seasons. I started like picking and choosing, but then like I said, when you look, it's like when you got a season's normally $15. Now you never really pay it at full price, but even at $8.77, what the seasons are, holy cow! It's like when you get the decade. And then you get the 20% off, and the decade's on sale. You're paying, I think it was $3.60 a season. And so, I mean, so you're almost getting 3 for 1. So I bought the whole 90s and the whole 2000s, which I don't really play the 2000s, but I think that's when Bork won it with the Avalanche. And, there was still some good series I followed in the 2000s. So yeah, so I'm covered now. So I got my late 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000 all covered. So hopefully I don't have to buy any more for the hockey, and I'm ready to go with that. And I got the new golf coming out too. So
excellent. Well, I'm trying to think of how I found Action PC games. Football is their oldest one, and in fact, I believe the version that comes out, I believe, on the 25th might be the 25th edition, which goes back a long, long way. And I tried the demo for the football, and it was a little too involved for me because it played some second. Al's played second and 10 football as well. So you go, okay, here's your run play, here's your 4 pass plays, and you open up the Action PC football, and here's, 17,000 different plays, and figure this out, and defenses that are complex. And no, that was a little too much for me. But I think about 2006 or 2007, I grabbed the baseball game, and there was no special for it at that particular time. And so I think I paid $53 for the
What
first.
came with that, Ron? How many
That,
seasons?
with
Was that
just
when?
just the current season at that point. I mean, he's
Oh wow.
just became a lot more creative. I might have actually bought a season to go with it. That might have been like one of those $70, $80. Don't tell my wife I bought this thing type deal. Just kind of start in here. And if you played the 3/4 version, there was no full screen yet for the pictures, and it was a little harder to mod and all that. But I liked the game. I didn't buy it. I don't think the next year. I wouldn't think I went back to Strat and played that and kind of bounced back and forth. The biggest thing. Oops, I'm hearing my own echo. The next year. Who's okay? The thing that kind of tripped me up initially was the closed engine because as Al comes from a card and dice background. I come from a card and dice background. I'm used to seeing the results there. You roll whatever number is, and you see it's a strikeout. It's a ground ball to second. It's a 5-run homer or whatever. And like, do I trust it? Well, I got playing it enough to realize that not only did I trust it, that I really like the game. And so, flash forward 10 years later, I have all the golf I don't buy every year, but I have the most current editions of all of the four major sports. I've got goodness gracious, I've got seasons upon my seasons have seasons. and just kind of when I started streaming, when I got serious about the streaming thing, I realized that this was the perfect streaming engine for the most part because it gave you a little bit of animation. It left just enough to the imagination that you could do something with it, and I believe in the results. I've never sat there and went, "What?" I mean, there are certain plays in games, such as when we had the Patriots challenge, and why didn't the Rams squib it there at the end? But I mean, those are the things that coaches make mistakes.
And then there's a time someone ran a pitch out on the goal line.
Exactly. I don't know why Emily was running the offense that day for the Kansas City Chiefs. There she is, bathing herself, but it is what it is. Or those sort of things. But the more I play it, the more I like it. And so that's my background with it. Al, why don't you tell us how you got into Action PC?
Okay, I got into Action PC. I was looking for a football sim game for the computer way back when. One of my previous employers, you go over your boss's house to eat, right? Like twice a year for a company I worked out, and he had this football game, and it was now I had played Madden and things like that, right? And it was like, to me, I'm like, oh my God, this is like Strat, except it had the little guys, like little players, and they moved. And like, this reminds me of a game. It was a console game. I can't remember the console, but it was X's and O's, and you put this little slide sheet in, and the X's and O's moved. No teams, right? Just X's versus O's, and you called the game. But you had a sweep. You had like a bunch of plays. But he had every season, Dave and Ron, like every season. So we played about a quarter before dinner was ready up. He was the 68 Jets, and I was the Giants with Fran Tarkenton, the best year he had with the Giants. And I had so much fun with that. And ever since then, I was always looking for a Stratomatic football game. Now I had Fran Tarkenton, the card and chart really, board football game, and played the living daylights out of that. And I actually came across Action PC. I went online. I said, best PC football game. And you get Madden, and you get these other things, NFL 2K, all those games. And I was like, this really stinks. And I just got frustrated. And I saw Ron one night doing 2nd and 10, right?
Oh, God.
And the 58 championship game, I said, I like this, but I want something with a little more animation. Then I went back and I did another search. And I refined the search to PC, like I said it a little better. And I came across Dave Koch, and I went to work, and I asked some people, hey, have you ever heard of this Action PC? Because I looked at it, my friend. Yeah, it's a pretty good game. Fell in love with it. I bought the game. Have no regrets. That's my first one I bought.
I'm
tremendous.
responsible for you too. I knew I was responsible.
Oh yeah, you're responsible.
Gardner over
You
here.
you are like the drug dealer of sim sports games. Dave knows. Dave and I are addicts. I was
Yeah.
listening to Dave. You know what's funny? I get the emails for the sales now. I'm like, oh, I get excited. I'm like, I bought all this stuff already.
Yeah,
Because I did like Dave did. Well, I might play that 1905 season in curling. I'm just making a joke, but I buy a lot of seasons. I don't know.
I see this. I see the sales going. Oh, it's a great price, and realize nope. With the exception of, eventually I'll pick up the 2000s in basketball because I keep buying the game, so I get the current seasons. Yeah. Everything.
And just to get back to the action PC games about the open engine and stuff, how we were camping, it didn't bother me as much because I had not played Strat in so long. As everyone knows, if you've watched my channel, I'm back to playing Strat, card and dice, and even with and I enjoy the game. That's not what we're here to talk about. We might get a little later into different stuff. Ron said so. But with the action PC, and I've said this to Ron, online, offline, baseball. We'll take baseball as an example, right? People go, well, how do you know if the hit and run is going to be successful? I don't know if the hit and run is going to be successful. When you watch a baseball game, do you know if the hit and run is going to be successful? I know that the guy makes good contact. This guy throws strikes. Well, and I got I want to put the ball in motion. I'm going to put the runner in motion because I want to try to stay out of things. You call the hit and run. Now, Ron came up with that. You go on the rules. I think, was it rules, Ron? That little box to a probability.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. But yeah, it's a closed engine in a way. But you got to use, and this is no knock against any other game, you just got to use your common sense. Like I watched Dave do his hockey thing. I love it. I learned from it too. I never switched lines. I never did oh, that guy's tired. I always kept my lines together. I was fooling around playing while I'm listening to his game because I start watching it and then I put it on my Kindle and then I want to play. So I'm watching, listening. I'm doing this and I'm like, oh man, that's right. Well, I can have guys with 100% stamp. So you learn from each other and it's fun. And again, if you need to see that result, the result. These games might not be for you, but they're beautiful games and they're well priced in my opinion. Baseball's marvelous. I have like Ron, I probably won't pick up the golf game because I don't play it enough. But that being said, as soon as the sale's over, I'll be sitting there going, I kind of want it, and I'll probably buy it. But it's a lot of fun. These games are well done. Basketball's well done. And again, are there issues with these games? Like someone will say, oh, in 19 blah 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 they didn't do this. Okay, nothing's perfect, but they're fun games. I enjoy them. Price point is excellent. But that's how I found it. I was looking for the football game. I was late to the baseball game because I was an out of the ballpark person, and I still am. I love playing all different games. But it's a marvelous game, and it does leave to the imagination. To me, I can see Freddie Lynn going back in center making a catch. And with this, it's more of a nostalgia. It's a beautiful games, but it's the nostalgia of remembering.
Exactly.
Right? Dave did a game the other Friday, but I watched it Saturday, or did I do it? Anyway, it was a Bruins game, and he has, he's playing a what if. Like he added a couple of Soviet players. But then he thought his team was too good, so he tweaked the stats of it. I'm like, no, Dave, I want to see them kick the crap out of everyone. Stop it, David. But yeah, it's a wonderful game. That's how I came across, searching for something I missed I looked into Strat, right? I was like, well, that price point is not what I want right now and Dave Koch Action PC games I unlike you, Ron, when I came to it, he had those massive you know what I mean? He's toned down the sales just a little bit. I don't mean the sales, but what he gives you. Like if you bought the second tier of, maybe he was always that, or in the first. Anyway,
there's always been 3 tiers.
Tiers. I think he cut back a little bit on the second tier. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it just looks little different.
There's the basic, which doesn't have the current season.
No, great teams.
Because not everyone wants to buy
exactly
the current season. You have the main version, which has the whatever he came up with that year for teams and the that current season, and then the deluxe, which has 5, 6, or 7.
Now I remember
with it.
That's what I wanted to say. Right now, you jarred my memory. So when I first bought the football game, right, I actually paid for the deluxe because I'm like, I got a decent amount of seasons. I started playing. I realized I instantly loved it. And I did like what Ron has probably done. I know he's done. And what Dave has learned because he's an addict now too, like us. I was like, screw this. I'm buying decades. He had a decade sale. I did the math. I'm like, okay, I get I'm spending X amount of dollars. But if I was to buy these all out, even on it's so much fun. I'm babbling because I love it like a schoolgirl.
I took advantage of a Christmas sale one year, the Black Friday before 10 a.m. Central, and bought 50 baseball seasons for $150. I declared that with the wife, you know.
Yeah.
And then the next year I waited and I said, okay, this is what I'm buying. I said, yeah, do you know how much these cost if you don't do it that way?
Yeah,
But
they don't understand. They're not addicts.
that's right. You know, certainly. But that's the case. I mean, the point where
Bless you.
But I guess the thing that probably keeps me glued to it is the fact that, and especially it came up when I was doing the intro videos to the sports, is you can make these games as complex or as simple as you want to.
Yeah.
Dave, let's talk about him like he's not here. Tinker, the cat's had enough, right? He had enough? Or you stealing my, get out of my iced tea.
Emily's like, I want some iced tea.
You want some iced tea? It's going to cost you. You know, I've never tinkered. I've tinkered with one player in all the years I've played action PC sports. But that's it. I just take him out of the box. I trust that the baseball game is going to give me the experience that I want. The football AI is going to give me the challenge that I want. I don't always win. Sometimes I run pitch plays at the goal line and bad things
we all
happen.
do. I'm just joking with you. It just was
No,
funny.
but it's funny because Gardner here has been waited to see if he could get that in on me today too.
Well, I knew I sense Dave Gardner. We're all inner kin here, sort of. And I'm like,
there's things that will come up later on when we maybe get into like more into the game, like some of the fun things that have happened that have jumped out at us.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So,
and one quick thing, because I forget. Sorry to interrupt. When you're going there to the Dave Koch site, on the very bottom, when you're looking to buy something, there is sales and freebies. Always check that. Always go to take a look. He has some cool. I picked up the 1975 All-Star game for free. Now, it's not expensive anyway, but the point is, it was free. And as long as you bought one thing, I was like, check mark, and I took it.
Yeah.
No one does that. They are the best. The best.
Yeah. I've had great customer service with them. I've talked with him, not personally on the phone, but we've emailed back and forth. If there was something that there was, I pinch hit for a DH. Okay, ID gesture. It's okay. Some of us do play with a DH. I pinch hit for the DH, and I must have had a fluke injury, and so I had to use that person in the field. And so theoretically, you're supposed to lose your DH if you're in the field. The game did not lose the DH. So I emailed him, send me the season, we'll look it over. And I did. And within 10 minutes, he had a patch for me. Doesn't work with Gmail. So, I found another way to get, an email address just for him or for attachments. And he had a workaround patch.
Yeah, they're great.
Within 2 days. I mean, it's just unbelievable customer service. And what I don't think they do is promote themselves well enough.
No,
I think you're right, because a lot of people, we've streamed these games. Now Dave's into streaming these games. I guarantee you, Dave will get every once in a while. What game is this?
I get it on this.
I get it a lot. I'm like,
on Dave Little's Facebook page about once every 2 weeks. What game are you using?
And again, I think we might be in a different category, because I know myself and Ron, I've seen the different games Ron's played, and I know Dave Gardner here likes to play a lot of different games. So we try things, and we're like, oh, and there are games we like better than the others, and we're here to talk about Action PC, which I know we're probably all in agreement are marvelous games. So, and I can see if one person just plays one genre of game, they like that, and they're saying, hey, but it always, I think that's a really good point, that they don't promote them, and they don't promote themselves. They do, but they don't. I came across it because I was looking.
Me too.
I was looking, and it wasn't because you had. The first thing I ever seen Ron do, I know he hates when I say it, is he did a wonderful job. 2nd and 10, another good, fun game, excellent community and customer service. He did the 58 championship game. It was wonderful. I don't care what he says. He did a wonderful job. And then I was like, I like this game, but I wanted the animation, right? So that's because I always, as I told you in the beginning, I went back to that football game that was floppy, that, you know, it was marvelous. I'm like, this is awesome. And this was the closest thing to it. You get you can run. Is it perfect? No, no game's perfect. Anyone can pick apart anything. Okay. Does it cheat? Yes.
No, it doesn't.
It cheats sometimes. You've seen the mystery flag. Come on. Anyway, I'm joking. I'm
Al Red Sox fan measurement.
That is funny when you think, like, my guy got it easy. What do you mean he's a foot short? He crossed the yellow line.
And that's when you hear your inner Greg Gumbel saying the yellow line is not efficient.
Yes, I actually joke about that in my head.
I kind of get into these games the same way as Al did there. Is for me, the video games on the consoles are passing me by. As I get into my 50s, I find that, you know, my days of, you know, Sega Genesis, NHL 94 with the 3 buttons was about as far as I could go. And I get into the Xbox 360 and the PS2 games, and they were a lot of fun. But once these new games come out, and you got the hockey game where you need to hold and press many different buttons for something to happen, I was lost. And, you know, even in Madden 18 or 19, it's, you know, it's 4 buttons to pass. It's 4 buttons to receive. It's 4 buttons after the catch. And I find myself looking down at my controller.
And you're not enjoying the game.
So I'm not enjoying the game because I'm trying to figure out, and how many times I've thrown to the wrong receiver playing Madden, or throw it the wrong way. So I just have to kind of just throw up my hands and say, this is for the younger kids. It's not for the 50-something like myself. And, you know, especially the NBA 2K basketball game, I don't like basketball, but I like to play basketball. I don't know why, but I do. And I tried the 2K basketball and I failed the tutorial. The tutorial said, do not play this game. Just uninstall it and go on to something else because you suck. Okay.
Wow.
It was
That's
bad.
harsh.
I mean, it's like, I just want to pass and shoot. And it's like, go to the baseline, hold the right bumper, fade back, and then hit the left trigger. I'm like, and I'm doing this the entire time. I'm looking down. It's like, okay, these are just not, and then you can play basic mode. But you know, when you go into basic mode, that the game is horrible. It's not designed for the 2-button mode, and it's a bad workaround. So I don't play the new stuff anymore. I tried it when I can't. So I was looking for sports games that I could play, and I think I went to PAX East several years ago, and they had that Football Mogul and Football Baseball, and I go, what the heck is this?
They're fun.
And, I think they actually had, now that I think of it, I think it was a card game, but they also had the PC version. And they said, here's a code for last year's PC and baseball version. You can play for free and just let us know what you think. Because I actually was, when I go to PAX, I'm actually pressed, if you can believe it. And so I took it home. I was like, wow, this Football Mogul is really fun. I can play as the 70s Patriots.
Yep.
And, you know, like, you know, getting back to what Al was saying about the nostalgia, it's like when I play the new hockey, the new football, football I know a little bit more about because it's a weekly thing, but baseball, football, basketball, I couldn't tell you more than 10 or 15 guys in the league. I don't follow closely anymore. My heyday was 70s, 80s. And so even though the NHL 19 looks fantastic and Madden 18 looks fantastic, I know a handful of guys. I go back to the 70s and I know everybody, you know, on every team. So I'm playing Mogul football and I'm like, this is great. It's Grogan handing off to Sam Bam Cunningham and the Buffalo Bills got Joe Cribbs and Joe Ferguson. It's like, I know all these guys. But like Al said, I was looking for something a little bit better than that. I mean, it was fine. I need the animation.
Yeah. Now, again, we're not I did actually the first football game I tried was Football Mogul because it was on Steam. And I went, oh, I've been looking for something. It was a lot of fun. I actually played out. The drafting is fun and stuff like that, but the animation was not there.
Yeah, it was just the text play-by-play.
Yep.
And sitting by yourself was kind of fun. And I played a few games. And actually, the other night, me and Ron were in a video chat, and I pulled that up, and we actually simulated a season, Ron.
You did the $76, so they went what 5-9 or
yeah, the Bucks went 8-8.
Oh, 8-8. That's right.
0-4, no 7-7.
You guys did something right. You guys
yeah. So I don't know what setting we put it on, but I just
certainly wasn't realistic.
that has been one of the things accused with that game, but it's a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. The Bucks, we just simulated the season. They went 7-7. I think it was the Rams and the Raiders in the Super Bowl.
Yes,
and we simulated that.
It's not that far off then.
That
to be
went
honest
no,
with you.
it really wasn't.
And you know how that ended? Because we checked the box score. The Rams won in overtime on a punt return in the Super Bowl.
Wow.
So that was kind of cool too. So
there's a lot of fun sim games, and you have to play the ones you like. And I know it's about, we're talking about action, but you brought up the Mogul, and that is a fun game. Again, not enough animation. It's funny because the baseball game has decent animation, but yet the football game doesn't. I'm like, why don't you just do a little something?
Yeah.
It's like, here's the thing with that game, and what I like about Dave, this is why Dave Koch to me is better, the action PC games. The animation, people say, oh, the chalkboard's still the chalkboard. Yes and no. He tweaks that. Almost every game, he tweaks the animation a bit. Hockey's gotten better. Football's been pretty much the same, but it's smoother. I'm telling you right now, it's been smoother the last two. Right, Ron?
Yeah,
you don't remember? We'd be playing, and you'd be sitting there going, and again, we're trying to call the game. And you're like, and now it's smoother. And he made the player icon, the squares, or most people use the squares. They're bigger, more. You can see them better. They're brighter.
The baseball game this year, the pitchers throw from the correct side of the mound.
Yep.
Because I remember doing the live demonstration of baseball 19, and
you thought something was wrong,
throwing off with it, and now you just get used to it. Yeah, because the lefties throw from the first base side, and the righties throw from the third base side.
I'll tell you the other thing: the hockey animation's gotten better.
Much.
I was playing again. I'm listening to Dave Gardner, and I haven't played the hockey game in a while. I'm like, I played after I listened, so I played one as I'm listening and watching it, and I played 3 more. And I had like 4 tap-ins from in front. The only thing that sucks is they don't have the video replay for hockey yet. I don't understand that.
Yeah, you asked about that, didn't you, Dave?
I emailed him and I said, boy, I'd love to see that and a couple other things. Like I figured out how to use the ticker, which is still a little wonky because once a game ends and the ticker disappears. And I'm like, no, keep there. I like to talk about the ticker when I'm doing the game. But yeah, things like that. But yeah, so I come over from Football Mogul, and I wanted to find something a little bit better, and that's when I stumbled on the actually it was last fall. I saw Ron playing the Dave Koch football, and that's how I get into that. But I had played Franchise Hockey Manager as well. And so I went from like Football Mogul to Franchise Hockey Manager. And to this day, Franchise Hockey Manager 2 is my most played game on Steam. I played the crap out of that. And now 5 I play a lot too, was fun. But the thing about that though, it was really deep, and I probably only did about 10% of what you can do in that game, and the rest I just put on AI. And you would just sit back and watch the game because there really wasn't any animation.
Yeah, I actually had a discussion about the animation with them, and you want to talk about people not being happy? I love Out of the Ballpark, and I had bought 2 of the hockey ones because I wanted the hockey sim, and that's when I eventually bought the Action PC one. I said, I finally, you know what, I'm going to get that one. But I had asked them they had put not this year, or the prior year, they put out their pre-thing on YouTube, and I was like, okay. And I just typed in, wonderful, good, I love it. I played a little bit of it. But you know what would make this game is you need to add the animation to it like you do with baseball. You want to talk about some unhappy people getting, I was like, whoa, it took me I was like, I buy your product all the time. And you hit that right out of the ballpark, Dave. I don't understand. And they go, it's not an easy thing to do. You did it for baseball. You should be able to do it with.
Yeah, I think it'd be a little bit tougher for hockey because there's 10 guys or 11, 12 guys going somewhere at once. In baseball, it's just kind of the 1 or 2 that are involved. So I can see that. And they have some animation, but their big thing is the GM. It's keeping people happy. It's working out negotiations with contracts. And for myself, I don't care for that. I just set everything on AI. I set up my lines. I play my games. I look at my box score, and I ooh and ah at Orr and Esposito on the box score. The game gets done. I call up somebody from the minors. I micromanage so bad in that game because that's all I know how to do in franchise hockey. And I had a lot of fun with it. And I still do play that from time to time. Problem with that is it is so complex. You don't know what you're doing half the time, and you don't know how to get involved in a game or what you're doing if it changes the game. So what I would do with franchise hockey is I would just go to fantasy draft, pick a year, fantasy draft, and I would just draft my team and sim out most of the season, swap out my goalies from time to time, and I'd have my fun with that. And it'd be fun seeing, Lafleur and Esposito on the same team. You know what I mean? Or depending on the year, maybe you had Gretzky and, somebody else, Dennis Savard on the same team, let's say. So I would mostly use the fantasy draft because it did that really, really well in there. And I just set the commissioner mode and I just turned it into a sandbox. But again, that was really deep and you didn't get involved. So when I started to play the football game and I was getting used to that, Ron turns to me and says, why don't you give the hockey a try? You will like it. I was like, Ron, I watched you and Al and everybody play the hockey. I didn't like it. And he's like, I think you will like it. He kept saying, he goes, I've known you for a few months now. We talk all the time. He says,
what didn't you like about it before? Because I know you like it now, but what didn't you, because I really love the hockey.
Probably, well, the first thing I got to say about Action PC Sports, why I probably held off so long, even on the football, was when I looked at the screenshots, honest to God, the stat program I use for my hockey league is 20 years old, okay? I still use this stat program to keep my stats because the league's been going for 20 years. The menus in Dave Koch Sports are exactly like my stat program. They are 20 years old. The charts, the graphs, the sliders, they're all that gray. It's 20 years old. It looks very, very dated. And I thought, how good can this game be if the graphics are as old as my stat program, okay, which I bought in 2000. So that's what held me off. But when that being said, I mean, they work flawlessly and they don't need to really look good because everything's right there. It's at your fingertips. I mean, visually, I was like, boy, how good can this game be when they look like that? But so getting back to the hockey, it was so choppy. The game was so choppy compared to the football.
Absolutely,
okay?
Absolutely.
But I understand that you can't have NHL 19 out there following along all the guys while it's crunching numbers the whole time. But I thought it was really difficult when you guys would do the game, and it's like, now this guy's gonna break, and then it's like, but, and it drove me nuts. And so from a distance, I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. I says, I really don't like that. But the thing is, you couldn't really follow the play-by-play too much when you're on your phone or your iPad. When you got the big computer screen and you're playing the game yourself,
you can,
Now now I go between the play-by-play, and when I look up, the guys kind of react to the play-by-play, and I tweak my speeds to a point now. So watching it didn't know justice because it was very choppy. You know what I mean? But when you actually play it and then you follow the play-by-play, which is pretty good, and then you realize this kind of plays catch-up, and then you got the shot animation. It's like, wow, I was really getting into it. I mean, I have it set that I take every shot, and I'm on the edge of my seat on every shot.
I think, and Ron will tell, and I said something a little earlier, the animation has gotten better, and I think they will get to a smoother and even more smoother animation. Maybe it's going to take another couple of because it took like 2 times.
This was the first year that even on the or I forget which one, the way I play, that all the players
horizontal. I think.
Yeah,
no, vertical. You play vertical. I play
vertical. All the players are on the ice when you make a shot.
Yep.
And if Dave watched something from last year, that wasn't the case. It was just the goalie and the shooter, and he says, "Well, that's not realistic." Now everyone is on there, and if you play the horizontal, it'll tell you when there's a giveaway will flash on the screen or fight. It's kind of like that. It's like watching an episode of
it's still not perfect because I had a penalty shot the other night with Wayne Cashman, and it was Busick on the screen taking the shot.
Well, you had Jerry Cheever score a goal, and he was on the bench.
Yeah, Jerry Cheever.
There's still glitches with any game, and they have glitches. And actually, if you report them, they will look into it.
But I mean, as far as it went, I mean, it was you just go with that stuff, and you realize it's like anything else. Like when you play a shooter game and the guy's halfway through a wall or something like that. That's just part of the.
It is what it is. I agree. Now, some people it drives them nuts. my suggestion is then find the perfect game for you. You know, there's stuff. I'd have to say the hockey they've done a lot with the hockey game since I've started to play it.
There's some. Let me cut you off right there for a sec. Yeah, all the games do a fantasy draft, Dale. They've had some hardcore hockey replayers help with that. Some I remember over from the strap boards that came over, and so fighting has gotten a lot smoother. When that first came out, oops, Al joined the call again.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. Wow, I've a double image of Al right now. That's kind of weird.
You know what? I'm going to leave and come back in because I'll be right back because
Okay.
it doubled up on I see that now, and that's going to annoy you guys. I'll be back momentarily.
Dave, a couple of years ago, or maybe you couldn't have a line brawl. The goalies would never fight. You could not get enough fighting. There were fight settings, 0, I think, being college hockey and 5 being the KHL on a drunken Friday night. You know, the fights weren't there. You couldn't have line brawls. The graphics weren't as good. It played well. It certainly, and there just aren't a lot of hockey games on the market. Period. And in the last couple of years, that really has turned into a good game. A good game. Basketball,
Yeah,
I think,
where it is right now, it is very doable. And if they can make it even better, then great. Yeah, I did look at some of the past animations, and it was very choppy. But where it is now, I mean, whereas, you know, like I say, I've seen you and Al and Jester and a few other guys broadcast the games. Now I'm doing it. Is you use the rink, the chalkboard as just kind of some kind of a guide, especially for shots. Not so much while they're going back and forth, because they'll be in this zone and it's like it's dumped in, it's around the boards. This guy has it. Now it's over to this guy. Well, it's all the way down here, but the chalkboard hasn't caught up yet. So that's when you just kind of fill it in with the play-by-play. So that's a little annoying. But again, once they get in the zone, you're all set. You know, you see who's got the puck, you see where he is, and you see where everybody is on the ice visually, and it gives you an idea what's happening. So, but anyway, so yeah, so coming from, you know, the football mogul and the franchise hockey, I find this is the porridge that's just right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely.
And I like the fact
Great analogy
that you've got some animation, but it's not, you know, NHL 18. You got some strategy, but it's not nearly as deep as Franchise Hockey Manager. So I can see it. If you love Franchise Hockey Manager, you might not like this because it's missing a lot of what that has.
But you get the feedback here.
Yeah, but you get this game, I think it's a little easier to play. Everything's spelled out. And the fact that not only are you the GM, not only can you set up the league, set up the coach, set up the team, set up your players, but there's times that you actually make decisions on the ice or even in the baseball game on the field. So it's kind of like, what do you want to do? Pass, shoot, dump it in, change your line. You know what I mean? Okay, you're going to shoot. Do you want to shoot now? Do you want to cut to the net? I mean, that's stuff that you don't see in many sims. Usually you just sit back and the computer does it all, but it'll stop and say, what do you want to do? And even in baseball, I haven't played much baseball, but I've seen you guys, and it's like, what do you want to do? Do you want to try for home, or do you want to hold up at third? You know, and there's things that it's so now you're a fielder or now you're a player. For a few seconds, you're a player. What do you want to do?
It gives you a taste of a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and so you're not just sitting back and just watching, you know, like this. I mean, you have to be ready to make a decision.
Yep.
But again, it's not about reaction time like the console games. Is like I can be ready to take a shot that's going to tie the game. The wife can call me and say, "Hey, you know, dinner's ready," and I can walk away, have dinner, you know, watch a Netflix when we come back, and that shot is still ready for me to take.
That's the beauty of those games, man.
They're tired. They've been there for 3 hours. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, even the football game, you can turn off the play clock. So again, you can sit and take as long as you want.
Absolutely.
And so you really can set this game up as you want. So again, so coming from the two different extremes, or the three extremes, you know, the football mogul, the franchise hockey, and the video games, this, for me being an old man now, this found the sweet spot. And probably the biggest kick I get out of all this is that not only can you play it, but you can broadcast it like a game. And that's something I wouldn't have thought of. So I'm just copycatting what you guys have done. And as someone who does hockey games and loves to broadcast hockey and football games, I get to do it now from my office here. And I get to do any game I want. I can pick the team, the year. And I was just telling Ron the other night, it's like, Ron, I'm on YouTube and I'm seeing, Rosie Ruziska score a playoff goal for the Bruins in the 80s. Now I got to go get that season. I saw, the Flames and the Oilers have a terrific playoff game. Now I got to get that season. And
I am not responsible for what
you're the pusher, Ron.
I am not responsible for explaining this stuff to spouses, girlfriends, boyfriends, significant others, pets. If the doggy doesn't get a chew toy because you had to get that extra season, that ain't my fault.
Yeah, so I picked up a whole bunch. I just got them all. I said, the heck with it, it's on sale. I'm gonna bite the bullet. There's one big chunk last night, and now I'm covered, and now I can play whatever team, whatever player that I want.
Absolutely.
And you know what? It makes you happy. It's your entertainment dollars. That's the way I look at it. And it's a nostalgia thing for me. I love to hear the old names. I play more of the olds. I'm like Ron. I get the new game. You don't have to. I mean, with the new season, I'm going to be honest with you. I very rarely play the new seasons. Yeah. What I do is I'll take, like, say, the World Series team from 2017 or like the Red Sox 20, and I'll pit them against all these other great teams. To me, that's enjoyable. I like to play the old seasons. The thing I like about Action PC Baseball, the stats are, I think Ron will attest to this. He's already said it. They're pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, when I played a 1966 Red Sox the year before the Impossible Dream Team. I played the whole season over. Every game, just the Red Sox. I played as-played lineups and transactions for the other teams. But I had to use the same players that were allotted to me. Now, you can do better because of the math, meaning I know what went on. I have the stats in front of me saying this guy hits better against lefties, right? So it was fun. We finished at 500, and that was a lot of fun with that team. So you can do things, and some people might say that's unrealistic. No, it is realistic. They didn't do that because they didn't do. How many times, Ron, I've said this to you, because you play straight out, right? Like this is the lineup. So I've done that too, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, why is this guy still batting fifth? He stinks, and you're 3/4 of the way through the season, right? And you're like, they should have made the change at some point and realized this guy stinks. They don't. So I give guys hats off to that, but it's kind of fun to just play with the lineup for that day, the allotted roster, and say, I'm going to put my best lineup on the field. Now, it's fun.
Best 9 against your best 9. Absolutely.
And I've done it with the Mets. And I have to tell you, the 77 Mets replay so far has been one of the most. That and the Red Sox 60. Playing weaker teams and trying to figure out how to win is fun to me, right? It's just fun to me.
The beauty, I think, of the overall games, the three of us play the games very differently. Yeah. Dave is a tinkerer. He's going to have Codis and Kang, I think, on the 90s a Bruins team, the first aliens to play in the National Hockey League. They're going to be back there with Bork and Glenn after Wesley gets dumped to Hartford for whatever reason. It's Kodos and Kang that are going to be back there with Bork. Al does a lot of the what ifs, and of course the 77, Mets being aggressive. I open up the game, I download the season, I mod it, and we're doing a stock replay. You can have fun any way you do that, and I think for a lot of games, even Dave, I think started what Action PC can do probably most of the three of us. It's still playable. There's no, if you wanted to add yourself as opposed to Tretiak, you could. Do you want to be the perfect goalie to play? Okay, here I am. I was a big Kansas City Scouts fan, and damn it, I want to make the playoffs, so I'm making myself the goalie. Whatever. I mean, you can do that in the console games too. But
yeah, you put that very well, Ron. Is that we all play the game very differently. But that's what the beauty of this game is designed for, is that, Ron's more of a truer guy. He likes to play it down the middle. I myself am like, well, I want to throw different guys on the team. Like I say, my 74 season, Phil Esposito convinced 3 Russians to join the Bruins. So would that ever happen? Probably not. But I mean,
Not 74.
yeah, in my replay though, they after the 72 Summit Series, they all made up and he convinced them to play, and they got to sign off from Russia to play. And I get 3 top guys in my team. So
Dave made the whole backstory up too. It was pretty cool.
So my team is stacked and it's unrealistic, but I want to see what would happen if this is my personal scenario to play through.
But absolutely,
and no one can tell me I'm right or wrong, and I'm doing that. And I'm also doing one with the Red Sox, where they in 77 they picked up Reggie Jackson, who got mad at the Yankees and walked away, and local guy Mark Fidris, who was only 20 or 22 years old, said, I want to play for my home team. And so I'm starting that season out in Action PC Baseball with those 2 guys in the Red Sox. And so Ron can play as is. I can play my, hey, what if I bring in these guys and the aliens on my team? And Al does some things like he likes to play like around the championship teams, like before or after, to see how would they do before they won or how would they win. And that's what's kind of neat is I have so many scenarios in my head between football, the baseball, and the hockey, because those are the ones I have that I want to play out that I'll never get to them all.
It is funny.
And it's like every day it's like something new. It's like, so I got the Team USA ice hockey playing NHL teams. That's one of my scenarios. I'm playing a 72 Summit Series. I have my 74 Bruins series in full swing. I want to get to the football game, and I want to play the 76 season. Now, I'm terrible at football, okay? I really am. So I'm going to play the 76 season and play the team that plays the Tampa Bay Buccaneers every week. And I want to see if I can keep them winless by me playing.
That's a fun concept.
And yeah, so there's so many ways you can play it. And the idea that you can broadcast some of these live and get people in the chat and get involved is just makes this a well-rounded game, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I found it, and I'm glad that I talked to you guys, and you guys were kind enough to respond to me and some of my questions. And I asked a lot of questions back in the day, and
you're lucky it wasn't early when I first got on YouTube, because I was like, he's a troll. He's a troll. We got to whack him out. He's a troll. No, I'm just kidding.
I gotta say though, because the football project I'm doing this off season is much more along the line of an Al Red Sox fan project.
But it's really fun, Ron, because
it's really fun. I really enjoyed it, and I figured that they would go forward for, and that's probably what they're going to go. But it's really fun to see, to go back to get specific for a moment, to go back to the first game, which was the 72 Dolphins and the 07 Patriots. And again, I played both the offenses, and I went back to call a pass play for the Patriots in the first quarter. Now, I play pretty fast. You don't necessarily see what I'm seeing because I'm just trying to process it in my head. But when I saw how much of a difference Miami's defense made on what the Patriots could do in the air, I went, Miami's got a good shot of winning this. I didn't think that they would.
Yeah, because you were like, I played that out where I played also, but I made the mistake of I left it on like the 72 sort of settings, meaning teams didn't run 3 wideouts or 4 wideouts. So the Patriots are actually handicapped in the game when I played it. I was like, why can't I do this? Why? And I'd already started the stream, right? I was like, then I realized, I was like, you know what? Because I already played. But and I was playing both offenses there, like Ron was doing. And it was still a close game. But yeah, the Dolphins wound up winning. They're tough. They're a tough team.
They're tough out. They really are. And I've done some single team replays too, not necessarily online. And you go through and trying to manage a bullpen where you know that everyone is kind of crappy. And try to get wins out of that. And you're going, it's like, okay, I did like 90 games into a 2012 Washington Nationals replay. It's like, okay, Steven Strasburg, I need you to go 7 innings. I need your 100 pitches to last me 7 innings because I had a 12-inning game last night, and I'm using Chen Meng Wong there at the end, and I'm just covering my eyes between pitches. Okay, Cat, Emmy, you hit the button. You hit I don't want to see what happens next. And then Strasburg's blown in the 4th.
Yeah.
That's a sort of challenge. Exactly. Because you don't know with that. And so you just, whatever limit you have. And the other thing is, and I noticed this when I was doing the basic series, is that you can make these games as easy or as complicated as you want. I mean, you can just the defensive options in the football game alone make my head spin.
I tell you, I tell you what, on the defense, it's funny. There's a couple of things I want to with Action PC baseball when you're playing it. Now I'm playing as the Mets in '77, right? I've tried all kinds of. If I can win a game, I play it like the 7th game of the World Series because they're so bad, right? I have to win. To me, if I can get close to 500, it's fun the way I do it. So I've used Jerry Kuzma, and it doesn't work. I brought in. I'm like, well, just get me an out, and he's like, walk. Oh my God, right? So you have to. I mean, I have to sit there and go, please God, let what the hell's their closer? I can see him, Lockwood, and Bob, and Bob Apodaca, who's mediocre he's okay, right? Please,
for the Mets, he's great. For any other team,
please let me get. I only have 20 pitches because I've pitched him like 4 games in a row. Like I have to. Please let the get quick outs in this inning, But it's fun. And then with the football, where I go wrong, and I only do it for football and defense. Dave was talking about micromanagement. I sit there and I go, oh, I think too much with the football. And I told Ron this when I was playing strat football. I tried to do the same thing. I was constantly getting burnt. Now, Buffalo 76 team stinks, but I said I went back to just playing more like a basic. And I actually have done that with the football game offline. I play slightly better defense. Computer still cheats. But the football game's beautiful. They're all really wonderful games, and it gives you enough. The stats are there. That's the other thing. The stats are there. Ron shows them better than I do, and even Dave does, because I still have to, with OBS, I have to bring up a separate window. For some reason, with this one, I have to bring up separate windows, and I'll do it like once in a while just to show, because people are like, how do you do that? I'm like, here's a stat sheet. This is what I'm looking at sometimes. This is where I'm making my decisions. Sometimes I don't have to because I know the players. I'm like, I know how that guy played. So, basket. The other thing, if we could touch on a wonderful mod community where you can get all kinds of photo downloads if you want, and field downloads and all kinds of great things.
Pictures, logos, golf courses. There's like 30 free golf courses out.
And let me just, if you have Action PC games or are thinking to get Action PC games, there's a website called Replay Field of Dreams or something like that. I have it.
Sportsreplay.net.
Sportsreplay.net. Please go check that out. There's a lot of content created by people who play the game. I don't know how to put it. Just the community.
The overall community. Absolutely.
Now, that's where I got the Canada
hockey
series. Yes. That's
because
exactly I
think Ron and I talked about it offline one time. I said, does he know about this site? Because they have all these cool. I've downloaded those, right? I said, oh, he'd love this. But the one thing you have to watch out for, if there's a bad team in a file, it will kibosh your file. Just take the bad team out. That's why Ron taught me this. I'm pretty sure it was Ron. When you're playing a season, make a copy. Like, keep a clean copy. And even if you mess up, like Ron said before, you have the zip file. You can put it back. So.
Right. It's there for you forever.
Yeah, but I make a copy now. I actually keep a clean file that way, because I foobarred a file big time in one of my footballs. Like, I was almost through my whole football season, and I foobarred the file. Yeah. I was like, but yeah.
Through trial and error, Dave and I figured out how to export and import games into a foobarred folder. So he saved his. We'll talk about him like he's not here. We saved his Summit series because he had a game that the computer accidentally played instead of him, and so we went through and copied the 2 games that he had played, reinstalled it under a different name. Yeah. And put the 2 games back in there. Now, all the mods he made, he had to do.
You have to put back, because once you do that,
that's a small price to pay instead of so it's a half hour worth of work as opposed to the 3 hours worth of game playing and excitement and all that.
And you lose because you've already played those games. You don't want to lose them. I know that sounds silly. When you play a game,
no, it's true though. It's definitely true.
And the other great thing about Action PC, if for some reason the computer freaks out, it saves the game right in that point. It doesn't happen in Strat. in other games. Okay. Because I was telling Ron offline, I'm playing this really great strat tournament that I wasn't showing on, it wasn't one of my YouTube things. I'm sitting there going, I wish I did because there was so many exciting, but I'm enjoying it. Like if I'm listening to Ron or Dave or ID Gesture or LMR, any the YouTubers I follow, whether sports or non-sport, and it crashed. And I thought I could just go back. The whole file was gone. I was like, oh. But the one thing, so when you go to the replay site, lots of good things to check out for Action PC Sport and a ton of free golf courses. But it's absolutely marvelous, the community and the time that it takes. These people do full seasons. It's incredible.
On the sports replay site, there are 2 or 3 early 70s full college basketball seasons, Division I college basketball, 200 and some odd teams.
Someone did I know we're all over the place, people, but it's just because we get excited talking about this.
Yeah.
On that replay site, someone created a bunch of teams that Dave didn't have because he does the top 4 of the college teams. That's how I got UMass with Dr. J. Off of that site. I was like, oh my God, that's UMass with Dr. J, Julius Erving. That's so cool. So this is a great, not only do you get a good price value or price point, right? Now you have a community.
Yeah.
It's that creates a lot. Now, some stuff goes back to 2015. It still works beautifully. Again, if there's an issue with a file, all you have to do is take the file away or take the bad team away. You come across that once in a while.
The other thing with Action PC Sports, I don't know about necessarily about the golf, but the other ones, if you don't buy it every year, so let's say you have the 2013 version of basketball or baseball, you can buy the 2018 season and it will work with the game.
Yeah, it does. It does a nice job of that. Yeah. What I wanted to do too is what things. And I know we talked a lot, but I mean, what things in this game, when you got this game and you kind of knew what you were getting, what things did you discover that kind of really pleasantly surprised you? And I'll give a couple first. The ability to not only with adding mods and logos and fields and rinks, that's all really fun, but the idea of you click on play by play and it calls up 200 lines of dialogue in the game, and you can modify that and add your version of what is said. I thought that was one thing I did not expect, and that was a pleasant surprise. And I spent hours one night in the hockey game changing some of the variations to stuff in the play-by-play. So when even icing, I have 15 variations of icing now. It's gonna be icing. It makes the line for icing. It's icing, and they're not happy with the call. So I changed so many of the lines of play-by-play, and that's something that was pleasantly surprising. On top of that, after I'm done saving my play-by-play file with all my variations, I could send that file to you, and you could put that in your game, and now you have my play-by-play file in your game. So again, if you just have the basic stuff in there, that's fine, but I could send you my file and it's going to have all these different variations of the play-by-play. I thought that was unbelievable. And the other thing is the narrator translation. You can set it up to have some audio in there with the narrator. You can do the whole game if you want, but
that's new in the last couple of years too.
Yeah,
I believe that's on all 4 of the big ones.
Yeah, at least with the hockey, I set it up to announce goals and penalties, and so it'll announce a goal scored by, and if you put in the player numbers, which you have to, unfortunately, you can't just, it comes with a couple of numbers in there, but for some reason, it doesn't put all the player numbers in. So I went in actually and put in all the players for my 74 season. So when I play a game now, it says goal scored by number 7, Phil Esposito, assisted by number 8, Ken Hodge. So all my numbers are in there. And that's really the only thing is it just announces the guy's number if you want it there. Otherwise, it just says goal scored by Ken Hodge or whatever. So I went in and put all my numbers in there. And when they announce the names, if the name is wrong, right there on the fly, middle of the game, you go to edit.
Changed it. It was so cool.
And you put in the name first or last, and because they were saying like Valerie Karlamov was the guy that's on my team, and it was like Valerie, and it was like, no, that ain't right. So I typed in Valerie, And he said, Valerie. It's like, no. And I went and changed the spelling of Valerie to say Valerie. And I was like, cool. And then Karmeloff was all messed up. And I forget how I spelled it, but it took 3 or 4 tries. And I got the computer to say
I was watching that night live, and he went to he did it right during the game, and he kept trying it. Now the spelling is not going to be correct because he's trying to make it so the computer
be phonetic as opposed to
yes,
proper
it's
spelling.
Exactly, and he got them all right. The computer sounded like me trying to do Russian hockey names where I'm sitting there going, that is, we're going to call him Sergey.
Those are the things that I have no idea that they were in the game. And when I stumbled on the play-by-play and the editor stuff, along with the other mods, I mean, so those are things I found in this game. I was like, wow. Every time you turn a page in this game, there's something else that you can do. And they do give a good job, like Ron says, play it out of the box. It's almost like they give you a stenciled version of the Mona Lisa, and you can hang it on the wall. And they say, here's some paint and brushes. Feel free to paint this any way you can. We have all the lines set up for you. Just keep the paint within the lines and go.
That's a very apt description.
That's a great description.
So you have the Mona Lisa on the wall in black and white outline, and now you go and paint it however you want to do. And you can leave it on the wall as it is, or you can doll it all up and get as crazy as you like. And
as I said, the 3 of us play very different ways, and each get very enjoyable experiences out there. There is no wrong way, and you can challenge yourself whatever way you want to as well. I mean, if Al, because we'll talk about Al like he's not here. What he's done with the 77 Mets is incredible, because I wouldn't do that. Not that I just, why would I want to play that? And if you look at someone and as played thing is like, why would I want to start Bozo the Clown here as my pitcher? Because I know he's going to get the crap kicked out of him. He's got a 20.25 ERA, and you're in the bullpen your second inning. Well, because that's what the manager didn't know that Bozo was going to get kicked.
Right. Sorry.
Exactly. And so there is just so many different ways to play.
What things did you guys find? So those are the 2 things that I had no idea were in the game. So what did you guys find?
Before Al answers it, we got about a half hour left.
Okay.
And if you got any questions, please, because we got a lot of people watching this, ask away in the chat, and we'll go through the chat. We'll just go through and answer whatever questions you have. Go ahead, Al.
Okay. The thing with playing the 77 Mets, I have the hindsight, or just like the 66 Red Sox. I don't want to do the same mistakes. I don't want to repeat the same results. I can read Baseball Reference. That's just me. Okay. Ron brings up a great point, and then there are times I know I have to pitch a crappy pitcher because I have no choice, but I'm going to sit there and go, I'm going to pitch him against a crappy team. Right. And maybe I still have a chance to win if I have the option. Right. So that's the fun of it. It's a different, you're using, it's all math. I'm doing math in my head. I'm using the numbers. The thing that was really cool, and I learned it from Dave Little when it came to the hockey, I mentioned it earlier. I didn't realize, because it's there, but I never, I can actually tweak my lines right in game where I can constantly try to keep fresh 100% stamina guys out there. And that's a lot of fun. I've only touched the surface because I've not, the things that are wonderful to me is the modding stuff. I fooled around with that a lot. Like I've put in action photos for the hockey. Sometimes I don't have photos, but the thing that's marvelous, you can compare without using Baseball Reference in the baseball. And I bet you can do it with every sport, but I've only done it with baseball because some of the reporting is different for each sport. Baseball seems to be more, you can look at what they really did at the end of it or anytime during the season. And you can look what you did in your replay without having going to, I'll use Baseball Reference.
Side, if you go to the player, it says reel and then replay.
Right. Yeah. But you can run a report for every, the whole team.
In the
and I did
database,
that
you can, yeah.
Oh my God.
That's ridiculous.
I guess if you look into the stats, there's so much you can do with it. And it's just marvelous. All the games, the one game, the golf game, there's a few things I wish they would do. Just a little more. tweak with the animation, but I like the golf game. It's probably I like all the games, but that's the stat package for all these things is incredible, and what you can do with these games. So what surprised me the most, it had to be the mod stuff. There's so much cool mod stuff in the community. You can. Ron says, like, if you bought the basic baseball game, right? Oh, and the other thing, if you buy the game, the next time you buy it, whether it's 3 versions later, always type in upgrade, you get another $5 off. So if you buy it during the sale, it's whatever. Say it's 40. I'm just using my numbers because I can't remember what they 48 and it goes down to 42, right? And then you put in upgrade, it's another $5 off. You're getting $10 off. It's $38. And the other thing is, if you just get the regular one with the great teams, you can go to that mod community, the Sportsnet replay. I butchered it again, but the one we were talking about, there's all these free, if you don't want to spend a cent, and you can play forever and ever. Now, some sports have more. It looks like basketball and hockey have a lot because I've downloaded a lot. Yeah. Baseball has a few, but they're fun. They're more like where people take a scenario of the league. Anyway, thank you, Ron. I just
sure. Dale Lonsdale asked, when you play a game, do you want the game to be exact? And since I'm the one that kind of plays the most out of the box, no, I don't want the game to be exact. I want it to be realistic. You know, yes. I don't want I don't want a pitcher with an ERA of 50 throwing a no hitter. You know, that's because that just that didn't really happen. But I want these games. I want to have plausible reality. I mean, Al brought up the point in my '78 football replay. The Kansas City Chiefs made the playoffs at 10-6. They were 4-12 in real life, and you're going, well, that's kind of weird.
But we looked that up though.
Al that brought up that
they lost a ton of close games
by like 4 or 5 points. Yeah. And so, yes, it's conceivable in this alternate universe that Kansas City wins those games that they lost by 2 points and can do that because it's football.
That I remember that game because you're playing it. That one was a lunchtime or whenever, I believe that was a lunchtime game. And someone asked, how could that be happening? And for some reason, I knew they lost a lot of close games that year, right? And I looked it up on Football Reference. I said, well, it is plausible. If you win these close games as opposed to losing these close games, you could have that. But if people are going to question Dale's question, do I want it to be exact? I play differently. Even if I didn't, I don't want it to be. It might be exact. I don't want it to turn out that way. If it does, and that's the way the game played out, I go back to this. I can look up. I can read baseball reference, football reference, hockey reference. I can look. I don't want it. Now, some people want to see how good the sim engine is. I get that. But even with that, it's not going to be exact because there are the factors with teams. Kansas City Chiefs, the 78 replay is a perfect example. They won a lot of close games in Ron's.
Right, and we featured them a couple times, and they legitimately won those games. They weren't a fluke.
No, in reality, they lost every close game, thus the 4 and whatever record. But that's fun. It wasn't out. His stats were not like for the Kansas City team. What they did was they hung around, and then you make a play. That's how a bad team wins. And they just were able to do it a lot. If you looked, Ron could probably, I don't know if he knows, their stats were not good. Like they didn't have anything that jumped out at you. You know what I mean? They just hung around. The defense was okay, and they would make plays here. We make the joke, the guy who looked like Colonel Livingston.
Mike Livingston, who just was, You
want it to be realistic, but you don't want it to be. You want to just play the season knowing that the results are going to be exactly what they were when you played that season, because what's the sense of playing it? So
exactly,
I like the idea of having some variabilities. I mean, do I want, the California Golden Seals to win the Stanley Cup in their first year in existence? No, I don't. And do I want the Buccaneers in '76 to win a Super Bowl? No, I don't. But, would I like to see, a couple of upset wins, or maybe, like I say, a team win some of those close games and get into the playoffs? And
you want one of my season teams to beat Montreal. That's why you play it.
Yeah, you go back. That's why I'm playing 74s. I want to see if I can get the Bruins not only to the playoffs, not only to the finals, but if they play Philadelphia, can I beat them? If I play them again, you know what I mean? And I'm kind of hoping that we get some different matchups. And maybe the Flyers don't make the playoffs, and maybe the Flyers get bumped out. But that's the beauty of playing it, is that, like Al said, it's nostalgia. I'm going back to a time in my life where sports were very important to me, and I followed it very closely. and I know everybody, and I'm enjoying that feel-good moment when I play that season or that team. And if everything panned out exactly the same, there'd be no sense in playing it, you know?
I agree. Well said.
Exactly. I mean, we had in the 78 playoffs, we had a lot of teams make it in real life that missed. But in the end, it was the Steelers and the Cowboys, and the Steelers won a very close game. And so it made me feel more comfortable about, what the results that we got. I mean, it got it technically, you got it right in the end, but it didn't get there the same way. Let's see.
The Cubs, the Bears in the chat. How you doing, my friend?
Trades, injuries, rainouts, wind direction, any change, no matter how minor, create absolutely true.
Absolutely.
Effect.
Great point.
And this game will. I mean, we had a game in the Patriots Challenge, the Dolphin game that kind of got decided because Randy Moss slipped on a wet field and caused a fumble, and Miami brought it right back into scoring position for a fumble. I mean, that's absolutely true. Any other questions that you guys have?
There's fun things that happen like that. Like in my game,
the blackout.
The greatest thing I've ever seen in action PC sports was that blackout.
That was hilarious.
Soviet season. I was playing game 3 in Winnipeg, and the Soviets were losing 2-3-0 or something like that. And
Khrushchev pulled the plug.
There's a 5-minute major penalty on Team Canada. Soviets were on the power play, and the hockey rink went black. And I thought the game crashed. And on the broadcast, I'm like, "Oh, game crash. Hang on. I got to reboot the game. We'll be right back." But the game didn't crash. I'm like, "Oh, I lost my rink graphic. Maybe there's a corrupt file somewhere." And then I looked at the play-by-play, and it said we have a power outage at the rink.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
I've never. That's the highlight. I've never seen that. I mean, we've had disturbances and rain delays and all that, but as far as that was just, you'll never see it again.
No, I'll never see it. And if I don't, that makes it even more special because that was so funny. And I went with it, and the face-off went to center ice. Everybody was at 100%, and the Soviets were pissed off because all my penalty killers were all refreshed, and it made for a good story. It really did. It
was funny.
It really did. But I mean, that's the variation. But you were talking about like in my game against the Seals and the Bruins in '74, Gilles Gilbert gave up 3 goals on 9 shots to the Seals. I mean, that's not going to happen in real life, but that could happen. That's the real good thing about it. So I struggled. I think we won 4-3 on a late goal.
That was a fun game, though, Dave. That's another one I enjoyed watching.
I thought I was going to smash him, and Gilbert had a bad game. And again, I like how it's like spinning numbers behind the scenes. And if they kept rolling bad numbers for Gilbert, he's letting up the goals, and that's what does make it fun. It when it does that, you know.
Dale Lonsdale asked, "Do I play my favorite teams differently?" No. You have an advantage anyway because you know the players. If I sat there and did a Red Sox replay from 2004, I know the team, I know what to expect, and I can manage accordingly. And then sometimes you got to go to that bullpen and go, here, just forget this and let's go. So yeah, I think the human always has the difference advantage over the AI, especially the more you know the team.
You can cheat a little bit with that because I remember playing franchise hockey manager. And I went to the free agent pool, and I pulled out a couple of 21-year-old guys that were free agents that turned out to have fantastic careers. And I put them on my team, and they slowly became the third and fourth best guy on my team, only because I knew, and somehow the game recognized that, and in my playthrough, they had a good season. So it was cheating a little bit,
Right.
Well, when you know the numbers, that's what makes it fun. You can now Ron plays as played, but even then he can make decisions on certain things.
I still have, I manage the home team with those. And I still have to manage the bullpen.
Yeah, and that's different. And he's not. Yeah.
Or when do you pull that starter? Because sometimes you look in there, or because you normally on the stream games, if they played the night before, I told you what happened the night before. So if I know going in, and that's just for me to know. Oh, God, my team's bullpen, the Phillies pitched everybody and their sister last night. Steve Carlton has to go 15 innings if it comes to be the case. Well, Carlton's been Christmas treed in the 3rd inning. Who am I going to go to?
That is one of the toughest things when you're playing a baseball game, regardless of whatever, but we're talking action PC. When you get a starter, and it's happened to me with the Mets, where Kuzman, you're hoping to get innings, And it's funny because I've learned with Kuzman, he's going to give you about 6 good innings. And what I was trying before, because the bullpen, I have 2 guys who can basically pitch out of my bullpen, and then it's a lot of mixing and matching. Like you hope this guy gets that lefty out and so on and so forth. I've learned that Kuzman can go about 6 innings, maybe into the 7th, then get him out because he gives up so many runs in this replay late, and I'm trying to win games. And the managing of the bullpen, especially when you have a bad bullpen, you're sitting there going, oh, God, someone line into a double play. You're praying, just
And
line
so-
into a double play.
Yeah. But to go back to favorite teams, yeah, because chances are you're playing that team more often.
Yep.
And so you're going to know their traits a little bit better. You know their final numbers a lot better. And unless because it tells you how often you've used that player. And you can also set, I don't have it set, that if you overuse a player, it will come back to bite you in the tushy.
I don't know. I don't know if I have that set or not. I do know though, even if you don't have that set, if a guy like Bernie Carbo against right-handed pitching hit like 3-something in 77, he was like one of the batting leaders in my replay. I mean, for the whole, because I'm playing him a lot more. I have noticed he's starting to trend back down to he batted 289. He's starting to trend.
Will kick in, yeah.
Yes, he starts to kick in. So now you have to also think I have Tommy Helms on that team, who was horrible, but he hit against lefties, I think it was 271. And so now you're looking when to use him. Well, he hit 271 against lefties. This lefty gives up a 3-something batting average, right, to righties. And I think I have that right. I might have that wrong. But you know what I'm saying? Now I want to insert what looks like not such a good player in at DH because he's a god-awful fielder. And you play Rice in right field. People like Rice in right field. Yeah, because Evans was hurt a lot in 77. He's done. I have him no more in my replay.
Wow.
So that's the fun part of those games.
Hey, so if probably wrapping up here, if you were to, tell somebody about a sim game like Action PC or try to explain it to them, someone that's maybe never played one, how would you go about explaining this to a new person, let's say?
Gosh.
Someone that's like, yeah, I played a lot of Madden and NHL and NBA 2K, and what are these games you guys are playing here? Why do you guys play? What's the enjoyment? Tell me more about it.
You want to go first, Uncle Ron?
I would try to sell someone on the nostalgia factor on it first. Larry Bird is going to play like Larry Bird. It won't be exact, but Larry Bird makes his entire team better. Whatever you watched, let's say you were, a big fan of whatever, the mid 80s Bruins, Terry O'Reilly is going to pound the crap out of people. They're going to give up goals at bad times, and so they're going to be just as frustrating as they were. But if you missed, if your favorite player was Magic Johnson, you can fast break all day with those Lakers, or it's going to happen, I think, a lot with the Patriots when Brady retires. Is look, you want to go, you miss Tom Brady here. We can give you Tom Brady 2007, and he is absolutely lethal in the pocket. He's got Wes Welker is as good as you think he was. Can you, or if you've been aggrieved, which of course the 3 of us are from New England, we know all about the aggravation of what didn't happen. You want to right that wrong? Do you want Cleveland to beat Golden State in the NBA Finals? Well, here you go. And it's not, and with the players, LeBron, yep. If you want LeBron taking more shots, you can do that. And so that's pretty much how I would sell it. And then you can look through and say, oh, look, the stats match. Or I had the same experience that I had watching that. None of these games are perfect. I know this probably comes across as 3 fanboys having a good time on a Sunday afternoon. But I'm telling you, for the value that you get for the game, when you add the fact that you never had to buy anything full price,
It's true.
You can recreate your childhood. You can try to go, okay, how did they mess this up? How do I beat the 86 Mets? You don't beat the 86 Mets. But how do I get past Montreal? How right this wrong, damn it, and figure it out yourself.
I thought you were going to say Brian Sipe and the Cleveland Browns, but yeah, you can go play that Cleveland-Denver game and see if Cleveland can beat them. Right. You can go back and replay individual games and see how it goes on your end. You know, maybe play a best out of 3 or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Ron. Sorry.
And the Cubs and the Bears hasn't said best. All season replays are inherently biased because you know how the player actually performed in that season, and the manager didn't. But my cat could be a better manager than John McNamara in Game 6 of the '86 World Series, or better than Don Cherry in Game 7 of the against the Canadiens, or whatever. But so yes, I mean it's all. You hook them with nostalgia. I mean, I do this 3 days a week, with the 82 replay, but the game kind of sells itself because whatever you give it, it'll try to do what you want it to do. It may not give you the results that you like, but that's sports.
The thing, Ron just said something. The one thing Dave Koch might want to think about is giving a demo, right? Because some people might look at this like you did, Dave Gardner, right? Oh, the graphics, this and that. A demo. Maybe like you can download it, you can play it for 2 days. You know what I mean? Like you can't keep,
There used to be a football demo. He's done demos before.
Okay. It's just a thought about that. Now, I think Ron said everything. You sell the nostalgia. If a person was coming from, say, Strat, right? The first thing I would say is, can you deal with, quote unquote, a closed engine? Again, if you can't, don't buy any of these types of games. You're not going to enjoy them. If you can, then again, it's not a point and click game. Yes, it's point and click, right? But you make your decisions from the statistics. The way I would sell it is what Ron said. It's the nostalgia of it. The game plays beautiful. I mean, I get it. I'm watching a rectangle move, but in my mind, that's not a rectangle. That's Yastrzemski in left, or that's Lee Mazzilli in center for the Mets, or a Kranepool in left or at first base for the Mets, or Teddy Ball game in smashing a homer, and you watch the majestic. It's all great stuff. If you are a stats person, these action PC games come at a great price point, okay? Ron hit it out of the ballpark again. You don't have to pay full price for any of these things. Just wait for sales. Now, he's gone up slightly on his prices, slightly. But you wait.
Season prices went down. They used to be $20 a season. Now the regular price is $15.
Yeah. But I mean, when he does you know what? That's why then. I never picked because I never buy stuff. I always bought stuff on sale. That's why
I mean, I didn't realize that because I always buy it on sale too.
Now that you said that, okay, disregard what I said. Just wait for the sales. But yeah, I didn't, Ron, I swear to God, because I always bought stuff on sales. I never paid attention to that. You're right. Now I realize why the sales are not, I thought the sales prices, they actually went down, but because they're less seasonal prices.
That was just within the last 6 years or so.
Yeah, but the nostalgia of it, I think the results are pretty true. We all play differently, right? But is it plausible? That's what I want to know. So I say, to me, it's plausible. The nostalgia of it, the price point, and you can get so many seasons, or you can just get the seasons you want. So if I was selling it, it has to be someone who's going to be, if I'm trying to sell this game, I'm going to say, listen, if you're not sure, buy the cheapest package. It's $30 on sale.
Also a 30-day money-back guarantee.
That's another thing, right? So it's actually, the cheapest one doesn't go, it's like $32. You get the Greatest Teams League, play it a bit. You don't like it, you're out $32. I can't picture people not liking this game. I mean, there are people who won't like it, but it's just a lot of fun. It's nostalgia. And you can get that with other games too, but put it this way, in Strat, you play hit and run. I don't know how many freaking times they get the lead runner when I play. How the hell do you do that in hit and run? I get it, teams don't hit and run much anymore, but I'm saying when you're playing in the era where teams hit and run, you're not getting the lead runner 85%. I mean, when I play Strat, unless it's just my crappy rolls, my point is, if it's a B, you got the lead runner. In a hit and run, the guy's in motion. It's not happening the majority of times. In this game for baseball, to me, you're getting a true result. So nostalgia, price point, fun. That's the way I look at it.
I haven't played much dead ball, but I know that it handles modern bullpens well too. If 100 pitches runs out in the 6th inning, I've played enough of the modern game to know that you can do it, and it will adjust to the era.
The other thing is, if you want, If you don't think that the AI is good enough, you can go in and set the managers for those AIs to say, I want to do this, I want to do that. You know what I mean? Just like you can set the AI. I want them to be more aggressive for each team. You have to go into each team, I think, but you can do it before you play a game. I think they should play this way, whether it's football, hockey, this or that. You can set the AI to where you think you want it to be. I don't do that. I just play it, you know. So,
Yeah,
it's a great,
but you can if
game.
you want to,
Yeah.
and that's a great thing.
I've only touched the surface of these games. There's so much you can do. I play it to the way I want and I enjoy it. I have no regrets for the entertainment I have gotten from these games.
And I like how they're all very similar. So if you can play one, you have a pretty good idea how to play them all. And, you know, coming from the hockey, now I can go back to, I picked up baseball and I'm picking it up much faster because I get how they do it now. And like, it's not exactly the same, but it's close enough where it's like, I have an idea where everything is. And I have a pretty good start. And so I do like the fact that once you figured out one, they all kind of play similar, or at least in that same vein. So you're not going to be lost. Like the franchise hockey manager, I find to be very different than the out of the park baseball.
It's completely two different experiences there. I mean, OTP I just find it overwhelming, the options that you can do with that. You can, you know, shift and have the peanut vendor pick his nose and give and all that, and you can immerse yourself. I mean, that is the ultimate in immersion, and that's just really not what I'm looking for. But on the other hand, you can, if you want to go through and change, let's say Bob Stanley's settings individually when he should come in a game, you can, and it will stick to it. When I played Strat on the computer, is that the super manager was terrible and you had to play against yourself, which is nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's a card and dice port. You're supposed to not have much of an AI, but it was so bad that you just could, you know, my closer should not be coming in the fourth inning. What did you tell it to? Again, it's like Al, what we're talking last night with Devin about war games. I shouldn't have to read a freaking book to prep 5 hours just to play a game.
Yeah. And I think that's another Butter What says that a good point is action PC games are pretty user friendly. Absolutely. User-friendly. We talked about when the game crashes, it saves. That's awesome.
Questions, guys? Any questions while the three of us are still here together? DJ John, apparently I'm his pusher as well.
You are the drug pusher of action PC sports games.
I am sorry if there is a Mrs. DJ John 4444, and 4 is my favorite number. I am sorry. We just do this. We've bought, oh God, he's bought the baseball decades sets. I'm not
something here too
and he talks about learning the history from it, if I read that right. Yeah. I bought the baseball decade sets while on sale to learn baseball history. That is a wonder. That's actually another. We talk about nostalgia, which we're getting the history that way, but someone else might sit there and go, I want to know about these players. You pull up, they have the real stats there.
Yeah. So. And what's neat about the community here, you know, with you guys, Dave Little with the basketball and guys like that, is that we'll broadcast the games, but we also talk about them too. And, you know, like I'll be walking the dog and I'll have one of you guys, whether it's live or replay, I'll have the game on in my ear while I walk the dog. And it's like an AM radio broadcast. It's really kind of cool. And then, you know, you chat about the game, and sometimes you chat about the people. And it's like, hey, this guy here in real life did this. And then, you know, he broke his leg in this game or whatever it was, you know, so you learn a little bit about the game. And when people like Dave Little's like the basketball, I don't even like basketball, but I have to watch
such
Dave
great
Little
stories
every Friday night. I watch Dave Little every Friday night, and I don't like basketball, especially early 70s basketball. And that's what I'm watching. And he does it, and he's entertaining, and he talks about it. And he gauges in the chat. He gets a good flow. You guys do the same thing. You keep the game moving, but at the same time, you chat with the chat, and that's what it's all about. And whether you catch it live or on the replay, it's really fun. You know what the community has done, and I'm probably missing a few people, and I do apologize for that. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, we do know. Dale asks if we play different teams in different eras. I mean, that's the whole Patriots challenge. You really can't compare a football team in 2007 to a football team in 1972. The rule set's completely different. I mean, in 1972, Gary Apremian's kicking in the front of the end zone.
Yeah.
And holding penalties and all that. So yes, and the game does have an automatic blend for all four sports. So if you want to take the 1954 Fort Wayne Pistons and play them against the 1989 Detroit Pistons,
You can play the certain rules too.
you could play with certain rule sets and get a game that would be reasonably close. Here comes Sarah's home, so the cat's now back in here. Kind of like, it's kind of like a drunk monkey.
I think you can even import a player from anywhere and put him on any team. I mean, so if you want to take Bobby Orr and put him on Gretzky's Oilers in '84, you can do that. It is such a sandbox, not only with the teams, but with the players. So you can really get kind of crazy with that if you want.
Baseball Demos ask, can a position player pitch in a blowout? If a position player pitched in real life, they're already set as a pitching option. Dave McCarty from the 04 Red Sox can do that. I think you can. Let me play around with that.
It's a little more difficult because the computer goes
done.
Yeah.
Would ask me that again on Thursday, Dave, when you're on the Ron Juckett show, and we can go into that. But yeah, I think it's a question of making sure that. I think you can. You just select it. You go into the roster itself, drag the person to where you want, and select pitcher as a position. I think.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's going to ask, you're putting a position. I think it says you're putting a position player at pitcher, and he's going to be horrible because he has no stats. But if a position player, as Ron just said, pitched that year, he's listed as a pitcher. Like you can pitch him for a third of an inning or whatever, or as more as you want.
Yeah. Cubs and the Bears says, I'm an OT fan due to the immersion. I want to be able to negotiate contracts and micromanage the minors. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely not a thing wrong with it. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, mine either. But that's what OOTP does fantastic. I mean, now it goes so many levels deep, even with the hockey. I think it runs 30 different hockey leagues at the same time.
Oh, yeah, you can run. There's 16 different international baseball leagues you can run.
Yeah, and that's why when you play those games, it takes forever to load because it's loading all that. Then when you get a game done, it takes forever because it's crunching so many numbers. But it is that deep, and you can pull players from all over the world to play in your game and go to different. But that's I don't want to micromanage to that level. I don't want to do salaries. I just want to play my dailies and play my guys.
Everyone's different, and you have to play the way you want and enjoy the game you want. The one thing I'll say about Out of the Ballpark, which Ron and Dave Gardner know, I like that. I play that game a lot. And you can play it straight up. You have to check the boxes off early, though, and then you don't have to do any of that stuff. So you can play it straight up. And again, it's how you want to play any game. With the action PC games, a lot of fun. To me, you get bang for your buck, and they're fun. The only thing I would not, if you're a person who have to see, what's it called, the open engine, then you're not going to like these types of games. If you have to have that, if I roll a 5, whatever the hell this is, a 3, I know it's a single. If you have to see that, then stick with the games you like. But I'm also going to say this: don't bash people or games just because if it's not your cup of tea, that's fine. And you can say it's not my cup of tea. I enjoy this other game. But to think that other people who play different games, you're just like, oh, it's not. They're all statistically driven. These games. Action PC has a ton of stats.
They all do. And OOTP allows you to play fictional.
Yeah, I mean, again,
in my view, it's the only way to play it is fictional.
But if you have any more questions, like Ron said, there's so many. I will okay, Action PC. This is what I'll say, and then whatever your favorite. Okay, out of baseball, football, hockey, basketball, golf. If you're thinking about Action PC, right? Pick up the package that is the least amount of money, and I want to say it's $34, I believe, where you're going to get. I'll use baseball as an example, or football. I'll use baseball. If you get the the lowest package level. There's 3. You don't get a season, but you get great teams. So you can
20
play
teams,
out.
and it comes with a full schedule.
Yeah. So the schedule is built in. So then for the 34 whatever it is, 30 odd some dollars, you play, you see if you like it, you don't like it. And then I didn't even know this because I've never even wanted to return a game. He's got a 30-day return policy. That's unbelievable. The only thing I would, and I didn't know this also, Ron brought it up that he used to have a free demo, at least for the football. I would recommend because Ron and Dave Gardner just brought up something earlier on. If you just, they go, they don't promote themselves enough. And I agree that Action PC Sports doesn't promote themselves enough. If he gave a free demo where you just get 2 teams and you can play it for a week or just, you know what I mean? Then you can see how the gameplay is. And the gameplay is excellent. I recommend all the games. I love them all. But pick the sport you like if you're thinking about it. Buy the smallest. There's sales all the time. And the other great thing is, say I don't want to buy the baseball game next 4 years. But then I decide in the 5th year I want to buy whatever version. Guess what? I type in upgrade. I still get the $5 off, and everything still works. So,
Robbie, all computer games are have random number generators. There's nothing prescripted about OOTP or Digital Diamond or Diamond Mind or AppAgo or all that. They're all random number generators. You can just break things down to a greater percentile in these than you can with an APA or Strat. And so, yeah, you get the probabilities. The other day, I had a game where Pete Rose walked it off with a home run. I think he had like a 0.5 chance of doing it, and I did it on a hit and run, and he still hit the home run. So yeah, all computer games. Computers are math machines. Yeah. He just turns those zeros and ones to whatever it is that you want to see. But yeah, so if you just want to assume that it's a 1,000-sided die, that's what it is. But sometimes they don't tell you. You can also figure out how well even a game that's just based on ratings. You know how a player's going to do in the OOTP.
If the guy has a rating, we'll just use 1 through 10 because that's what I like to do, right?
Right.
Contact 3. The guy who's pitching, control, bad, right? He walks a lot of people. It might not be the best thing to do a hit. I go back to the hit and run because I like to do it. Might not be a good thing to do a hit and run. It's just basic baseball knowledge. People, you got to know, most people know that, or even if you don't, you start to understand the game and go, okay, maybe I don't want to do this at this point in time.
But at the same time, anything can happen at any time. I mean,
absolutely.
I've had a very weak defenseman take a shot from the point in Action BC hockey, and he scored. It's like, wow, that didn't expect that. And then Ron's football playthrough the other night, I'm not going to say which one, but with only a handful of seconds left, the team kicked off and the team ran it back for a damn touchdown. I mean,
awesome sauce.
That happening. So, I mean, things can happen in the game that you jump out and you see that. You're like, wow, totally unexpected. But there was a sliver of a chance of that happening, and it did. But it's not all the time.
Yeah,
no, absolutely. All right, last call for questions. Al, what is the one moment we've talked about Dave's, which I think has to be the lights going out of the rink. What's the one moment in your Action PC career that made you jump out of your seat that you just couldn't believe? And do not say pitch left at the goal line between Kansas City and Denver. Damn it.
Two quick ones.
Yep.
The one I just put up, Bernie Carbo throwing the guy out at first base was. I was like, I'm playing the game. Well, that's awesome. FYI, Red Sox lost because, again, they're playing above their heads, even though they had a great team in 77. Again, just to show you how good Action PC is, they start to play down to their, you know what I mean? They're not going to win 118 games. You can win more. It's not, you have to get lucky too. The other one was, I was playing an Action PC football game when I was 1974 playoffs. I was just playing through them, picking the teams that lost. And obviously, if you win with a team that lost, it changes who you play. But you can go back and look. They said flag on the play, free play. So I'm like, yeah, who cares what happens, right? I'm going to get the first down no matter what. And all of a sudden, it was a turnover on downs. I went, what? And I must have babbled for 15 minutes going, they said flag on the play. But that was a glitch thing. But the Bernie Carbo, that was really unique. I've seen a couple of really that. And the Dave Gardner, it was hilarious because I had just seen Dave Gardner's and the lights went out and I saw Carbo throw out, oh, I forgot the player, Doug DeSense at first. Now that does happen once. I've seen it in professional baseball. I haven't seen it in a long time, but that one was like really, that was fun. That was fun.
Ron, what about you aside from the safety?
Yeah, aside from the pitch out on the goal line.
The touchdown return was amazing because you didn't expect that. I mean, anytime you have a walk-off in football, it is pretty cool. I had a game I taped for a series that never ran, 85 Red Sox, and they had a 6-run lead going into the bottom of the ninth against the 85 Mariners and lost on a walk-off hit by pitch. And so I burned Bob Stanley, Mark Clear, and
Mark Clear.
you know, so it's one of those things that, just a little too close to real life. The other one I think was early on in the football. Oh, it was like the first week of the football replay. We did Dallas and Baltimore. Dallas opened was defending Super Bowl champion. They opened up against the Colts, who were absolutely terrible.
And Burt Jones didn't play that game.
Burt Jones didn't play in the game, so the Colts,
because he was out.
So the Colts were super 8th grade middle school boy stinky. And the score I think was like 2 points difference between my game and the real.
Game. Yep, I remember that.
And
I remember that.
And that was that was absolutely amazing. When you go through and look ago. Because I did a lot of prep work for those football games. You want to make sure that you're playing baseball. I know a lot about football. I want to make sure I'm not sitting there chucking and ducking with guys that didn't throw more than 15 passes. And so you sit there and go, the final score of this game was 17-13, and it's 20-10. Going, wow, this came out really, really close. So those are and yes, pitch left in the end zone. Rain shortened games, which is pretty cool. Big, basketball teams going appropriate runs. Yesterday, the Steelers were down 20 at the half, and you could see momentum start to switch. And that's pretty rare in a game like that because odds are being that you could see where 1 or 2 plays turn that game around, and we ended up a half hour later with a much different game than we did at the half.
The one thing I wish the Action PC games would do a little bit better is at the end of the game, especially on a crazy ending, make a little bit more of a deal about it. Because when your game, Ron, that had the safety at the end, it just said game over.
Yeah.
And it was just like, this was the most incredible ending to a game that I had seen anybody stream. You were just running out the clock and you got hit for a loss and it's a safety and it just said game over and there's the final score. And the same with the football run back or anything like it. Just said, it's like, oh, well, game over, ho hum. I wish it'd be like, wow, this is incredible, folks. I don't know what they could do, but I was excited. You were excited. I was excited, and it's just like game over.
The football game of all the sports, the football game causes me to raise the voice the most because a sign of a good game is when you realize that you're in the middle of something and you don't realize that you're playing a game. You get a big touchdown late in the game, and the voice rises up because
you get excited.
You're excited and you expect that crowd to be up there with you. And then when you realize that you're yelling and you're going, okay, neighbors, it's nighttime. I don't need knocks on the door. And you shut up and there's silence from the computer. Yeah. Now the chat's going nuts.
Yeah.
But there's, that's kind of a sign of it.
But we all do that. We all get into it at the end. And
I just thought of something real quick. We were talking about selling points. The excitement. If a game makes you excited, like Ron just said, and Dave just said, and I've said, it's a good game. That's my selling point.
I mean, I'm on the edge of my seat in my hockey games, and that Soviet series that I'm playing, I had to tweak some settings because the Soviets hadn't scored a goal in 2 games.
You're going to a gulag, my friend.
Yeah, they are when they get back. They've lost the first 3 games, and they got game 4 coming up soon. In that 3rd game, though, Canada's on the power play, up 3 or 4 to nothing. I forget what it was. The game was over, and the Soviets got a breakaway with 12 seconds left, short-handed, and they scored. It was their first goal of the tournament, and I jumped out of my seat, and I was like, wow, they finally scored. They finally broke through the Canadians. Short-handed, 12 seconds left in the game. Will that give them momentum going into game 4? And that was really exciting, you know, even though it didn't change the game, but it was a big deal to score late short-handed like that.
Brad 62 brings up the point they could add storylines to the game to make it more immersive. I mean, that's one of the things that I do as a streamer is try to figure that out, but that's my job as a streamer is to sit there and figure it out. But it would be helpful.
For someone who doesn't,
plays a little bit better about that. The other thing that I would use as a selling point goes back to you guys at the end of when the Patriots lost to the Steelers in the championship game, in the conference championship game. And you could just looked over like this and just kind of saw the air get let out of that balloon. You guys got behind.
The subscriptions went down for your channel that day. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Just yours. But that's to be expected, Gardner. Between you and, you know, if you're subscribing, Jester's unsubscribing and vice versa. But no, seriously, if you can make an engine that can make people genuinely disappointed, which is the other emotion that comes with sports, about how virtual bits and bytes reacted, you're doing something right. I didn't make that happen. The game made that happen.
Yeah, but the thing is, Ron, I don't know if you can see on the camera. You see this right here? I don't know if you can see that.
Pimples.
Okay, that cut right there, that little wound, that was from 84. Okay, so every now and then I get a little something in there that starts to sting, and that wound from 84, and this one's from the 79 Bruins. So when you play these games and the Patriots lose, this acts up a little bit. It's swelling,
and that's the selling point, is that you get that same feeling in the pit of your stomach. I mean, when the Patriots were up 10 in the first quarter, I mean, the chat, nope, here they come. And I felt bad after. It's the first time ever because yes, I do them as neutral. I want you guys to enjoy them. I don't lose any sleep over who wins and who loses these things.
I do.
I know you do. But, you know, it's the first time that, you know, I said, no, I realized the next day I never gave the Steelers their just due for doing what they did, going on the road 10 down to win a conference championship game, because my audience is beside itself because the Patriots didn't do it. And so that's the first time. And I remember feeling to myself, I felt bad for them. I felt bad for you guys, but I felt bad for virtual cards and dice. And OTP, the graphics at OTP are incredible. And the story
that they had are very nice. It's the day-to-day stuff. The guy gets burned barbecuing in his backyard. He's out 3 days. That stuff is really, really, really fun in franchise hockey. It really is. And so yeah, I mean, again, it's what you like, and nobody's wrong. You know what I mean? There's a lot of fun. I still play franchise hockey manager. I was streaming a couple weeks ago the 78 Blackhawks with Bobby Orr, and that team is terrible. In fact, I traded Phil Esposito back to the Blackhawks, and they're still terrible. But I still have fun with that, and the stories that come up with that, I have a lot of fun with that.
I'll be right there.
I just did an 80 season sim for OOTP for fictional, to come up with this basis of doing some fictional writing, because look, the basic, it's my job to do the rest of it, but the baseball stuff is already taken care of. I already know what happened for that, and because it is so descriptive, I can go through and create the backstory and whatever for that. There's nothing in there. But we have this misconception that if you prefer game one over game two, and I'm talking not an actual game one, but brand A as opposed to brand B, that you got to be the Coke and the Pepsi about it. I like Coke, you like Pepsi. We can't be friends because you like Pepsi and I like Coke. There's plenty of room on the hard drive for all these things. Yeah. But I just don't think that I don't think that Action PC gets the due that it should. Just for the stories that we've just talked about in the last 5 minutes, the genuine
Very
disappointment of a team losing. That's a little different from read the result and go through. I mean, we all went through that together.
I think that's the one thing that the Action PC does well, just because of the chalkboard, just because you can visually see the football game. The OOTP baseball game is really nice, but the hockey's not so good with that. But you can see what's going on. You're right on the edge of your seat. You're not just reading text. You're actually seeing a little bit of what goes on too. And when the kick got run back in the football game, you could see the guy going and going and going, and you were just like, I can't believe this. He's at the 40. He's at the 50. He might go all the way, but you never know, because in that chalkboard, guys have flown across the tackle, so you don't know what's going to happen. But that happened, and that was really, really fun. And that's the stuff that goes on in Action PC. That is a blast with that. You know what I mean? I don't get that so much with the other sims that I do with Action PCs. That's the one thing that it does really nice. But the stories in some of the other sims and the funny stuff and that happens, like when you read after the game, they get deep with that. So like I said, it's not one is better than the other. It's just they do different things. And it depends what you want to do.
Right.
And again, and you can play both. And I still play both, and I like to play both.
What is my favorite sports game? Well, I'm a baseball fan, so I guess you can kind of figure out what it is. I like all the action, the baseball. If I never called another football game again, I personally would not be disappointed. I know a lot of you guys would be, and that's why we do it. Because that's what the community wants. But as far as if with every season I have, you could play a game in about 25-30 minutes, so you can knock out a 3-game series, let's say, in an hour 15. And if you really wanted to do it, you could probably play a season, a complete single team replay in about 2 months, and get every up and down that you wanted with that.
I guess if I had to pick a favorite sports game, I mean, I'm fairly new to these Action PC games, so it wouldn't be fair to say that these are my favorite, even though I am thoroughly enjoying this hockey game more than any game I played in many years. But I played all the old Sega hockey games to death. NHL 92, 93, 94, 95. Those were all I couldn't wait for the new one to come out. And I would, I don't know how many playoffs I played. And the key to that Sega Genesis was the headphone jack. I could play till 1 a.m. with the headphones on, and the wife in bed in the next room, and I'm sitting there jumping up and down and playing my 7-game playoff series. And I just couldn't get enough of that back in the day.
P. Scott Howard asks if you played Strat Computer Hockey.
No, I've only played Franchise Hockey Manager and now this Action PC. I've been watching a lot of you guys play some of these sports games. I think Gesture did some, and I think you guys did too. And I don't know which ones they were, but they were on the computer, and some looked interesting. They really did. None of them had quite the immersion that I saw in the Action PC games.
I was going to buy Strat Computer Hockey again and a season, because I think that Dave would like it. Of the cards and dice games, I think he would like that the most. But in order to get a retro season,
you had to take a mortgage out.
It was and the base game itself was included with the season that, yes, it was nice that the Caps won the Stanley Cup. It was going to be $87 for a computer game. A computer game, that's a different story. If I wanted to go through and invest in the cards and the dice, because you got to ship it and print it, and $87 for a computer game to actually play a season that I had wanted to play. I'm not doing that. As good as Strat is, that's how we robbery. Yeah, we'll enjoy the boxing too. In fact, I'm gonna do a fight tomorrow night.
Title bout is I saw the question. I had to go for a second. Yes. I saw the question about favorite. I love title bout. I can sit there and play title bout to the cows come home just because I'm a huge boxing fan. That's a really fun game. Excellent price point. The PC, $13, you get everything. and you can't complain about that. Again, if you're a boxing fan, to me, the title about PC game is excellent. The sim engine is very realistic. A title about lots of fun to me, and I love all my sports games. You have to play them. Play what you enjoy. If you enjoy playing one game, then just play that. If you like to play a lot of different games, just enjoy it and play it the way you want to play it. Like Dave has said, Ron has said, and some people, there's no right way or wrong way to play a game. It's a game, people. The thing out of a game is to get enjoyment and emotion out of it. Okay.
Right. And like I said, we all acknowledge that these games aren't perfect by any stretch. And they're, whatever way you want to play, but just go with the basics of what I've been doing the last few Sundays, that these games are good.
Yeah, and
you don't need to say that game X is bad to say that game Y is good.
Right. And what I like about the action PC games, just reiterating myself, is that they find the balance. And that I think for myself, I love to broadcast games, and I broadcast in real life from time to time. So I said this before, if I can sit in my basement and broadcast a game, this is an absolute blast for me. And the football, the baseball, and the hockey, I haven't tried the basketball yet, but it looks like, I've been able to broadcast games, and you guys have too. And so not only do you listen to it, but there is something to look at, and when you're playing a game where there's nothing to look at, you can still do it, but it's fun to have that visual there. I think, you read the play-by-play and then you go to the visuals, and you have a little bit of everything, and it allows you to really do the game, and then you add your own stuff in there. But I think it just strikes the balance between, a sim, just straight text game, and then like the NHL 18. It's a little bit in the middle. And one of the things was when I was talking to Ron about, getting the hockey game, I says, I'm not going to play. I'm just going to watch and broadcast. And he's like, you really should play. It's fun. And it is. And it's like, so you do pick a team and you do play as a team, and it is fun taking the shots and deciding on the pass and changing your lines. And that's something that I wasn't going to do. I was just going to sit back, hands off, and watch the game play and broadcast it. But I'm finding that I really enjoy saying what I'm going to do, and like Al did with his hockey, let's get aggressive on this. Let's play it safe, and I've watched all you guys play and talk about what you're going to do and see how it plays out. And that's a lot of fun too.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much is, we've talked this to death, but it's shopdksports.com. If you're interested in the games, lots of stuff almost always on sale. Everything comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Customer service is over the moon. It really is fantastic. Again, most companies have excellent customer service. Dave has tremendous customer service. Let's see, anything else? Al, Red Sox fan, what you got coming up on your channel?
We're going to get some boxing back up on the channel with our heavyweight tournament. And we're going to continue our Bob Gibson, Denny McClain using Stratomatic replay against the 2017 teams, the best 2017 teams. And then we're in the second tier of that, 24 starts. So we're in the second part, and it's going to be Denny McClain coming up. And we'll continue our Mets 1977 and Red Sox 1977 action PC baseball replay. And I always throw something else up on the channel because I like to do a bunch of different things. But and I have my OJ challenge also. We got to get back to that using Strap. But highly recommend the action PC games. Lots of fun. Thank you for having me on, Uncle Ron and Dave.
Oh, my pleasure. Dave, what you got coming up? Besides
I'm going to talk a lot of politics this week, I think, on my channel. No, definitely not. Yeah, stay away from that. But I think I'm going to try to I just picked up the baseball. I set it up. I do want to get my 77 season going with Reggie Jackson and Mark Friedrich on the Red Sox. I want to at least start that. I don't know if I'll, how many I'm going to do. There's a lot of baseball games to play. I like the idea that you do, Ron, of like a game of the week. When I was a kid, I used to like the Saturday afternoon game of the week, and it was usually National League because being a Red Sox fan with no internet and no cable TV,
exactly
the dark ages. Okay, so anybody that's 40
I
or
hear
less, It is the dark ages, okay? You didn't have phones. You couldn't check scores. You guys were talking the other night about calling on the phone to get scores. I remember driving home from a girlfriend's house. Yeah, she was in New Hampshire, and I drove home one night. It was the Kings and I think it was the Oilers, Game 7 from Los Angeles. It was in double overtime, and I drove home, and I get home, and I had no way to check the score. I called on the phone and punched in numbers, and it said the Kings won the game 4-3 in overtime, and that's how I got the score. So yeah,
that's too funny.
Yeah, before all those times there. So I'm gonna try to get my 77 baseball season going with Jackson and that stuff there. So that's what's coming up for me. Is obviously more hockey, but I do want to get some baseball going.
Not sure what I'm doing tomorrow night. Either a fight or some golf, but baseball returns with a doubleheader, television doubleheader on Tuesday between Baltimore and Detroit, and then we'll take you to Kansas City and Milwaukee because we've reached the 4th of July already. Hard to believe in that replay. So 4 games for you in baseball, and the Patriots challenge this week is going to be the 89 49ers.
Oh, cool.
Good luck to the Patriots because you're going to need it. If you thought the Rams were tough, 49ers have a defense to go with Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, and Roger.
That's going to be fun.
That should be fun.
Yeah.
So that'll be Friday at lunch.
Must see YouTube on the Ron Juckett channel on the Retro Sports Network.
You guys are my age. Did you guys? You guys were all kind of East Coast and Red Sox. It just seemed like back in the day we saw Cleveland and New York and Minnesota a million times, but that game of the week when they showed National League teams, there was such a mystique to the National League. You never saw them. And when they come up and they have the artificial turf, you're like, what is this?
What's that crap?
Cincinnati, San Francisco, it was like bland, light green.
Yeah, and you appreciate Fenway Park even more.
Yeah, and it's just like, so there was always a mystique to the National League back when I was a kid because you never saw them.
One last thing, and it's not even on this on the Action PC, but the other thing, because you didn't have cable and stuff, I relate everything to what you and Ron was talking about last night, and what you this week in baseball. I lived for this week in baseball because I got to see all these other players that I never. And the All-Star game, and I know we're a little off topic around and stuff, but the All-Star game to me as a kid was must-see TV because I didn't get to see these players. It's not like now. And again, I love what you can see anything we want now, but there is some nostalgia fun about that. That's all I'll say.
1:30 on Channel 6, WRGB, Schenectady, Albany, Troy was This Week in Baseball. 2 o'clock was Major League Baseball, an inside look, and the first pitch was at 2:20. Oh yeah.
I used to like that. And then you see the guy throwing from right field, and he nailed the guy at the plate. That was like kind of the end of the video.
They would start off with a music, they would end with the music, and then Mel Allen would go, and that's This Week in Baseball, and then I can't. That I have goose. You can't. I have goose pimples right now. Get just that are. Why do we do this? This is why we do this, because it brings back those memories. And I don't care if people's like, you guys are a bunch of silly, but that's fine. That's your opinion. We do this, and anyone else, whether they stream or they don't stream, it brings back those wonderful memories, and that is why we do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that you can go to ESPN and wait for the 30 minutes of nonsensical talk before they talk about a game. But yeah, I mean, it was Saturday afternoons, and you always could tell when they taped later in the Wednesday games because it was Warner Fusel who would bring the late action to you on This Week in Baseball. Yep, the Rangers lost again. So, yeah, so did the Cubs and the Bears. Really nice to know I wasn't the Cubs and Bears in the country called Sports Phone for scores back in the dark ages. You know, Howie Rose, who did the games on the Mets radio network, that's how he got his start, was the voice of Sports Phone in New York.
It was funny because we talked about that last night with a chat with, and Ron probably didn't think I know. I go, Ron, we used to bet the football cards, right? And we're sitting there going, did freaking that West Coast team, you either found out, but I knew exactly. That was a short-lived thing because once ESPN came out, you didn't need it anymore. But that was a real thing. You called to get phone numbers.
Absolutely. You want your picks? They got your picks. I just want the scores. I don't care if the Bears are -3. How'd you know? Because that's what Jimmy the Greek just said. All right, so that's what we got going on our respective channels, and I'll be back on with Dave, of course, Wednesday for this week on the E. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us on this Sunday afternoon. We'll talk to you the next time.